Now we're going to be moving into the iliopsoas muscle group, and specifically we're going to be focusing on right now is the psoas major. So let's review the origins and insertions for that muscle. We know it comes off the bodies of L1 through 5 as well as the transverse process, and then it then runs down and connects to the lesser trochanter of the femur. Its main actions are going to be hip flexion as well as lateral rotation of the thigh. And let's start off with a palpation of this muscle. Because it's lying very deep in the abdominal cavity, it's best if you get the patient to bend both knees. This will just take some of the slack out of the abdominals, which is going to be specifically important in a patient like this because he has very well-defined abdomen. Now what I'm going to do is I just mark the ASIS, and I know that muscle is kind of running sort of from the midline on a downward diagonal to the lesser trochanter. And now what I'm going to do is just slowly load in and weave through his intestines so I can get deep to them and come right up against the edge of the psoas major. When I feel like I've sunk as far as I can go, I'm going to remove one hand while holding the other. I'll get him to push up into my hand a little bit with his knee hard, nice and hard. And I can feel the muscle contract, relax there, right beneath my fingertips, so then I know I'm on that muscle. If I wanted to move up a little bit higher and a little more medial, again, I'm just going to slowly sink in through the tissues, checking in with the patient and make sure that feels all right. And then when you've gone deep enough, good, push up into my hand. And again, you can feel those fibers contracting directly beneath my fingertips, and relax. Slowly come out. For the muscle test, what we're going to do is straighten both legs. So I already mentioned it's a hip flexor as well as a lateral rotator. So you're going to want to be slightly in that position. You're going to bring the hip up to about 60 degrees, bring it out just a bit, and then toes out or laterally rotate the thigh. You really want to make sure you have a soft but firm supportive contact across the ASIS on the other side, because as you apply force on your muscle test, it's going to tip their body if you don't. So hold there nice and strong. This is challenging mostly the upper fibers of psoas major, and we can slowly work down the muscle by just working him outwards and reorienting our line of drive while we do this muscle test. Hold there, nice and strong. And then one last one. Very important on these last few that you're doing counterbalance with your support hand. Otherwise, they'll feel like they're going to tip off the table during the muscle test. With the patient in the test position, you can see by orientation of the limb that it's actually going to challenge the fibers a little bit higher on the psoas major. But then as I move his limb out, it's now reorienting the fibers a little bit down, and then again more, until you get all the way out here. And now this is sort of like an L5 test position, L4, L3, L2, and L1. So you can kind of work through the entire range of motion of that muscle, checking all origin and insertion points. If you're unsure if it's a specific iliopsoas injury or not, keep in mind this is going to challenge some of the muscles of the groin as well. You can see the adductors are firing when we do this muscle test, but because the limb is in this position, it's being most specific to the iliopsoas specifically, as well as the psoas major. So if symptoms are higher up, it's pointing you more towards involvement of this muscle. If they're perhaps feeling pain or discomfort down low, you might want to then move into some specific muscle tests for the adductor muscle group.